So I moved and it's this whole thing. Hey fellow Earth people, I've been procrastinating hard filming this sustainability update because I haven't really been able to process my feelings about what's going on in my life lately. So I thought it might be therapeutic for me and maybe slash hopefully interesting to you if you're a degenerate busybody like I am.
Come on, girl, dish me them dirty deeds.
I'm back in my old stomping ground, San Antonio, Texas. And in case you didn't know, for the past 5 years, we had been living in Durham, NC, while Reed was getting his PhD in sociology at UNC, and I was working as an eco-content creator and watercolor portraitist, and for a few years there, running an online secondhand shop. We loved our place, loved our kind of walkable neighborhood. We had an awesome coffee shop, a thrift store, a lush forest that we could walk to whenever we wanted, a food co-op where we could find unpackaged produce and bulk staples and locally made shampoo. And we could even drop off our compost, which was awesome. I started a garden in the lot behind our building and learned a few self-sufficiency skills like preserving food and fermentation and eating seasonally and herbalism. Basically, it was just a good place to start my sustainability adventure. But after COVID, we noticed a wild upswing in violent crime and our building was caught in the crossfire. Our front porch was shot literally 28 times, like 5 feet from where we were sleeping. Luckily, we were not the targets, but it was a trauma. But we stayed thinking hopefully it was just a fluke. But then a few weeks after that, we were making dinner and a bullet went right through our bedroom wall. That night, we drove to Asheville to stay with my sister and brother-in-law while we could figure out how to break our lease. We emailed our landlord telling him, sorry, can't live here anymore. But 5 days went by and we heard not a peep from him. Then a colleague of Reed's at UNC told him that students actually have access to free legal counsel through the university. So we met over the phone with this lawyer to talk about our case, and he basically said, y'all don't have a case. Turns out that in North Carolina, bullets can fly through your walls and you don't have any guaranteed way to get out of your lease without consequence. But despite that, he said he'd be happy to send an email to our landlord on our behalf using like standard legalese. I don't even know, but it sounded legit, and the landlord got back to us that day being like, oh yeah, sorry for the delay. We actually wrote you this awesome email, but just forgot to hit send. Y'all didn't need to get a lawyer, blah, blah, whatever. So that's how we got out of our lease. Very privileged that we weren't forced to continue risking our lives. Not to sound dramatic, but I don't think I can overstate that. Rewind a little, because this is all very awkward timing. Reed was literally like that week starting his job market search, basically applying to universities all over the country in the hopes that a few would get back to him to bring him out for an interview, which is this whole thing. Very stressful. So we're packing like rapid fire because who knows when the next bullet's gonna strike, right? But being as eco-friendly about it as possible, I might add. Obviously. Luckily, I'm a packaging hoarder and saved up a lot of packing papers and little cornstarch packing peanuts that dissolve in water. You know the ones I'm talking about? We were able to source all of our boxes secondhand too. The only thing we had to buy was tape when mine ran out, so I consider that a win. And my dad awesomely volunteered to help move us back out to Texas until Reed gets his job offer, and then we'll go wherever that is. Hopefully it's not somewhere too cold. Or too hot, or too Republican. So here we are back in Texas. I lived here in Texas for like 20 years, so I know what it's like. I'm not connected to it ideologically or anything like that. And I've been finding it really hard to keep up with my values as an earth person. Not only in this neighborhood, which is like really far away from everything else, everyone I'd like to be near, everything I'd like to do. Because San Antonio is massive and it's hard to get around, like we're living on the outskirts, but also like in this house. Since I started really changing my habits when it was just me and Reed in our Durham apartment, which I talk about in this video, I realize now that I was kind of insulated from the frustration that comes from living with such wantonly wasteful people. By no means do I judge people who can't reduce their impact due to structural constraints, health, what have you, but then there are people who know better and trust the science on climate change, have the time and the means, but refuse to inconvenience themselves even one iota. Let me know if you want me to do a video about trying to be eco-friendly as your family just points and laughs at you. It's kind of a treasure trove of content, me trying to persuade my dad, who's the most progressive boomer I know, by the way, to let me keep my dish brushes by the sink. Because your girl vowed 5 years ago that her hands would never reek of disgusting plastic sponge smell ever again. He wouldn't even let me put my dish drying rack by the sink, so I have to carry sopping wet dishes across a whole ass room, which seems like a slipping hazard. And I've literally been stealing coffee grounds and used paper towels out of the trash can like a rat to put them in my own compost bucket. So what do you think, like a three-parter? I'm only partially kidding. There has been some resistance, but I think my brilliant, glowing, shining example of good earth personness will eventually start to wear at my dad's conscience. I'll definitely be keeping y'all updated if I'm able to make any progress and rub off on him. This new phase just feels so weird because in my dorm apartment, everything was how I wanted it aesthetically. It was our stuff, and the things I used most frequently could just be out, not bugging anybody. Oh, and our fridge wasn't stuffed to the brim with cheese and like frickin' salami. I didn't have to get nervous before filming, thinking someone might overhear me and think I was a dork. It wasn't a big deal for cashiers to figure out how to tear our jars like it is here. I guess it's like a cultural thing. I don't know, there's just like less people shopping plastic free here. I didn't have to worry about setting up a compost system because we could just bring our organic waste right down the street. Actually though, in San Antonio, they do have curbside composting, which is amazing, but we don't technically live in San Antonio. We live like in Leon Springs, kind of on the outskirts of San Antonio, so it does not apply to us, but we're gonna work it out. We're gonna work it out. I guess I could just be myself and be surrounded by things that help me be eco-friendly and share all that with you. And that's invaluable. Something I definitely took for granted and won't anymore. But I'm glad to have this space to work in and keep creating sustainable lifestyle videos and Instagram content. I'm just going through it right now. A weirder than usual phase. I'm actually just like mad at myself right now because I wanted to make a whole video dedicated to low waste moving tips, but I don't think I could fill a whole video with tips. So it's basically just one. Ask local businesses for boxes. We got all of our boxes from a nearby grocery store. 2, if you have any packaging saved up, like real bamboo toilet paper wrappers, use those. If not, try to use clothes, bedding, tablecloths, towels, etc. to cushion your breakables instead of buying bubble wrap. And or check Facebook Marketplace because people will get rid of their moving supplies, usually for free. Also, Neighborhood Buy Nothing group. 3, try to rehome anything that you can't bring with you. Experts believe that selling your stuff is a more eco-friendly option than simply donating it, but that does take more time than donating it. Also takes more effort. So if you can't sell your stuff, just make sure that anything you are donating isn't stained or broken, because when you donate that kind of stuff to the thrift store, they just have to throw it away because it's not going to get sold. And that raises their dumpster fees, which then raises their prices throughout the whole store. So keep that in mind if you need to part with stuff. And 4, don't expect all your plants to make it. But all in all, moving is one of the top 5 most stressful things you can do as a person living on planet Earth. So no one expects you to be perfect about it, but you know, not an excuse to be like extravagantly wasteful either. So in that vein, while I do regret not fully documenting our move, I feel like it's okay because sometimes you just need to focus on being. Oh, and I was right in the middle. I was right in the middle of filming like my simple and sustainable morning routine video, so I guess I'm gonna have to find a way to mesh the footage that I already filmed in my Durham apartment with here. We'll figure it out. It's okay. Stay tuned for that. Hit the bell if you want to see the thingy. But no, I just needed to vent a little, I guess, and get that out of my system and remember that I'm actually really grateful to be here and safe and see all my friends and the babies that they had while we were gone, and also to have a new challenge to try to create a sustainable lifestyle in a place where it's kind of alien. So I hope you'll join me in the next chapter of this adventure, basically starting my lowest journey from scratch. But in the meantime, I think I'm gonna have to rewatch this video I made. It's where I try to shop zero waste at a conventional grocery store. Oh, this is the one good thing about Texas.